joining us. Today, People First Economy is joined by JJ Huggins from Patagonia to talk a little bit about some of the civic engagement initiatives that Patagonia continues to lead in across the country and the globe. JJ, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
To start off, my name is Hannah. I'm the president of People First Economy and proud to serve the businesses and the B Corp community in the state of Michigan. JJ, can you introduce yourself and tell us about your position at Patagonia?
Sure, thank you, Hannah. My name is JJ Huggins. I've been at Patagonia for almost 10 years now. I started in retail about 5 years ago and walked in off the street, filled out an application to become a seasonal sales associate and never left. Eventually, I joined the PR and communications team where I work now. I've been on this team for the last 5 years, and our team has grown in scope the last couple of years to not only cover public relations and communications, but also cover public policy. So these days, I'm essentially a manager of PR, communications, and public policy. I also project manage a movement called Time to Vote, which Patagonia co-founded with Levi's and PayPal back in 2018.
Fantastic, thank you so much. And we're going to touch on that again in a minute. But as a B Corp, a certified benefit corporation and B Corp company, Patagonia has been active in advocacy for years. Can you tell us a little bit about how that work has shifted and changed and become part of your overall mission?
Sure. We were founded in 1973. Our company revolves around outdoor sports. Our people spend a lot of time out in nature. And when you do that, I'm sure a lot of the listeners here can relate to this. When you spend a lot of time out in nature, you develop an intrinsic love for nature and a desire to protect it. And we've developed pretty early on in the early days of the company, and it's only grown stronger these days, but we developed into an environmental activist organization. And we believe that if you consider yourself an activist of any sort, environmental activist or otherwise, you need to vote at a minimum. We've developed policies to help our own employees have time off to vote and make it as easy as possible for people to get to the ballot boxes. But what we learned over the years was that's great, our people are good voters, but that's not enough to necessarily move the needle in the right direction. And we've worked with other companies here in the US and even globally to scale some of these projects to get time off and resources for more people to get out and vote. And we believe we're having a positive impact on increasing voter turnout rates here in the US in particular, where it's still embarrassingly low. So,
yeah, absolutely true. And the fact that this advocacy work has been embedded in the business from the beginning is a clear part of Patagonia's origin story, which is incredible. And in our work, we work with People First Economy. We work with a lot of small and medium-sized businesses, and we know it can be intimidating for business leaders business owners to get involved in anything that could be, politically adjacent or activism in some way. Can you talk a little bit about that decision that was made, back in 1973, but even more importantly, how has that decision to be active in civic engagement shaped the company's metrics of success over the past several decades?
It started in the early 1970s with funding a local group that was protecting a river right behind our corporate headquarters in Ventura, California. There was a plan to basically pave the river mouth in Ventura where the river meets the ocean and declare that the river was dead. A local biologist showed that there was still steelhead trout in that river and that the river still had a lot of wildlife in it, and convinced the city not to pave the river mouth. And we gave that person some funding and a mailbox, and that was the genesis of our environmental granting program. And as we became more embedded with environmental nonprofits over the years, we've just learned a heck of a lot more and been able to scale all the work we do globally. And the metrics we look at are how much are we giving, and the more revenue we bring in, the more product we sell, the more we're able to give away, bigger impact we're able to have on the environmental movement. And some of the other movements we're supporting these days have grown more into the social justice space as well. And it's just fuel to keep us going. I mean, the threats to the planet have only gotten worse, and it inspires us to work even harder. And then we are a for-profit company. We're selling products. We need to make sure that those products are made as responsibly as possible, and the people who make those products are paid fairly and are working in fair, safe conditions. And the challenges just keep piling up, but the drive to work harder is there. And the metrics, I mean, the company has grown in size, our revenue has increased, our reputation ratings have increased. And all that is because the conundrum is that we're not trying to improve our reputation, or we are selling stuff and we do have goals. We are to be a responsible business. You have to be fiscally sound and fiscally responsible. But the conundrum is the motivation is intrinsic. It's wanting to save the planet. And as a result, and we're transparent about what we're doing, our customers believe what we're doing and they appreciate that. And so our sales have grown as a result.
Yeah, it's a very important component, right? Because if you're not around to do the good work, then the good work doesn't get done, right? So you got to stay, in business as well. But thank you for sharing that. Given what's going on currently in our political and economic landscape, what are Patagonia's current advocacy priorities, and how are you using the business as a catalyst for change? There have been some articles in the news. Obviously, you mentioned time to vote. There have been discussions around civic disobedience and others. If you could share a couple of things that you're working on now, that'd be great.
Sure. We are preparing for the midterms in November here in the US in particular. Typically, voter turnout plummets for the midterms. We obviously don't want that to happen. We're doing everything we can to specifically focus on two primary areas. One of them is working with civic engagement groups to register and turn out young people ages 18 to 25 in key cities. And we're looking at young BIPOC voters in particular. We want to get more people involved in the process, and there are excellent groups out there that know how to do this work, and Patagonia is going to support those groups. Simultaneously, we're working with our communities and our customer base to not just inform people about when, where, and how to vote, because a lot of our customer base already knows that. We have research that shows that our customers and our employees are good voters, but the rules have changed in a lot of states. We've seen a wave of voter suppression throughout 2021. And so the rules have changed for a lot of voters this year. So it is important to double check your voter registration status and know when, where, and how you're going to vote in the midterms. But even more importantly, we're asking people to sign up as poll workers, or if that's too much of a time commitment for you, see if you can volunteer with a local civic engagement group to make sure people in your area are registered to vote, or maybe they need voter ID. There's different groups out there in the community that'll need help over the next few months. And so we're going to ask our people to step up and do a little bit more than just vote this year.
That's fantastic. And why, again, just to close us out, why is it so important, not only to Patagonia, but kind of just to our communities? Why is it so important that we show up to the polls in November?
There is a quote that I heard. I used to be a journalist in a past life, and a mayor in Leominster, Massachusetts, that I used to cover when I was a Cub reporter, had this quote, and I've researched the quote, and it's a famous political quote, and I can't figure out who originally said it, but the quote is, "The world is run by those who show up." And that has stuck with me for so long. I love that quote. If you don't show up, someone else is running the world for you. So for Patagonia, we care about the planet, we care about people. And if we care about that, we need to show up and vote.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And for folks who are interested, business leaders, business owners, and others looking to show up themselves and be part of this movement, we're going to link to a couple of pages where you can go and check out more information about Time to Vote, about Patagonia's initiatives. And if you're a business owner in Michigan and want to get involved in what People First Economy is doing when it comes to civic engagement, we'll have our website in there as well. JJ, thank you so much for joining us and for lending your expertise and passion. Looking forward to continuing to keep in touch and following all the wonderful work that Patagonia is going to be doing over the course of the next few years.
Thank you, Hannah. We appreciate it.
Thank you.